our that's interesting because now it says it's live, but I don't know if it's live or just recording live. We're just gonna go with it, and it's being recorded in whatever way that it is. Andy, thank you so much for sharing your life and experience and these amazing stories. We have a series of questions that we ask everybody in the interview process, and the first question is, what was a pivotal moment, holy crap moment for you in the evolution of sci-fi becoming reality? Like if you look back and in the last couple of years, what's like a pivotal moment that stands out for you?
The last couple of years, I think the thing that springs to mind is conversational, the advanced voice mode conversational capabilities of AI with zero latency, interruptibility, and in effect, a simulation of a human dialogue with you live in voice like that. That's science fiction. I, I wouldn't have anticipated that that would be available to us now. You know, especially since our initial contact with this artificial intelligence was through text, right? And you can imagine like it's like advanced autocomplete, and that doesn't seem science fictiony. But
Right.
once it gets to the point where Sesame, most recently, or others, among the purveyors of the frontier models, have advanced voice modes where you can have a dialogue conversation with them, or actually a multi-party conversation, as in Notebook LM, with two voices, two different characters. Uh, that's science fiction. That's talking to the computer, like in you
It's
know 2001. Space
right.
Odyssey. I mean, yeah, like that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I remember thinking that that was what I was expecting character.ai to be for me,
Mm,
right? Like
yeah.
that I should be able to like invite these characters into a group conversation with me and that would be amazing, but that was not what it was. Maybe it will be. Andy, what are you most excited about seeing that hasn't yet been realized in fact but remains science fiction?
Hmm. I think transmutation, physical transmutations of objects. We've gotten kind of close to it with really slow 3D printing, but the ability of AI to support the invention and development of technologies that could flash build a physical object uh, in less time, in effect doing 3D printing from materials that it has access to. I think that's what I would be saying would have a equally transformational experience for us uh, working in the real world as being able to talk to an advanced artificial intelligence in a natural way.
Wow. So the flash is surprising to me because I can see that if you sped it up, it would seem to us the same way that film does, right? That because the what is it? The screen caps because the images are so close together, right? 30 frames, that's the word I'm looking for. 30 frames per second is so quick that we no longer perceive them as individual things, but as constant motion. I
Hmm.
can imagine that if
Yeah, but I can also imagine different technologies that coalesce or condense, a vaporized material into a solid material by
mm,
the injection of something, but in a controlled fashion, so that it's not it's not just speeding up the 3D printing process. It's a totally new technology that basically solidifies something in a particular described set of dimensions that you just provide the guidance to the AI, and the AI can build that like in an instant.
wow. So is this Schrodinger's like ham sandwich? Are we
I don't
collapsing
know.
the wave possibility into
Yeah,
the
it's like in science fiction, it's like the what's the term of art? I'm sorry, I've forgotten it, for the food generator on the starship.
This is Junmi's
Replicator.
Replicator,
replicator.
thank you. Yeah, I was only coming up with fabricator, which seems to make more sense than replicator, but um, because replicator presumes that you have a model that you're then reproducing, but fabricator means, okay, I can describe something that doesn't exist, and so yeah, I'm going to invent the fabricator, not the replicator.
Okay. Yes, and our chat is also sharing it. Okay. So, our what? So we talked about what science fiction has, what that holy crap moment was, what you're looking forward to seeing. Is there something specific that sci-fi got wrong? Is there is there like, wow, I really thought it was going to be this way, but now here we are with this?
Well, I'm not widely read in science fiction, and the ones that I can remember now, because I don't read, I just have too many sources of information that I can't keep up with, that to afford free time to read something that's longer than an article. Like, even when somebody writes a long article, I have trouble, 2/3 of the way through, saying, okay, well, do I have the gist of this yet, or can I leave this and go on to the next thing? So short attention span theater at this stage of my life. But the things that there's some obvious things that science fiction has gotten wrong, that are artifacts of just the world model or worldview of the author at that early stage in time. Um, and I'm sorry, but I can't come up with a compelling example of that. But often it's the presumption of some continuation of the current existing worldview that gets injected into science fiction, that now, in long retrospect, I can look back to things that were authored 50 years ago, and I could do a critique of them, that saying, oh, though this characterization of either what's happening in the society or the economy or the physical world is just not, it's just an assumption based on a lack of futurism in the full perspective. I think you're on mute, Beth.
Of
Wow,
course I am.
audio in
Thank
this.
you.
There you are.
I can see what you're saying there. Thank you. So is there anything else you'd like to add or leave our audience with?
Huh. Just I think it's worthwhile for everyone who's listening to imagine a science fiction plot line that takes us from where we are today to some point in the future. Just as first of all, as an interesting mental exercise, but then also to anticipate, as many good science fiction authors have, the both dystopian and utopian properties of some imaginary fork or branch of the possible futures that confront us. And probably in the interest of mental balance, for every one that you choose that has a dystopian one, think through the scenario that arrives at the utopian one. And we think about this in the context of the emergence of artificial general intelligence and superintelligence. What happens on all these dimensions of human experience when those are present among us. But there are other components, like including, we have lived through a period of energy consumption that has polluted the planet. It's based on utilization of stored resources that took millions of years to develop. And there's an energy future for the human civilizations that doesn't depend on fossil fuels. and uses some advanced form of energy generation. There's plenty of energy in the universe. There's conservation of energy, so it's not hasn't gone anywhere. Well, it's gone somewhere, but it's still around. So how do we exploit that, and what are the science fiction scenarios, both utopian and dystopian, around the energy economy of the future?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm remembering probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, Sam Altman saying in response to a question about how OpenAI's new abilities are sort of killing other people's businesses,
Hmm.
and he basically, I'm going to paraphrase, but build for tomorrow, not for today, right? Which is kind of what you're saying too. Like we have to imagine a step or two further in AI. In improv, we call that A to C. So you're not just doing A to B. What's next? You're doing A to C. Go another step forward. So, if our listeners want to connect with you, is there a place you would recommend that they go to find more? I personally have a place I would like them to go to find more, but you get to answer the question however you want if people want to connect with you.
Yeah, I don't have a broadcast presence on social media. I don't post on social media, but I have social media accounts. You can find me there, but you'll be sad to see I'm not a creator. I don't find the time for that. I'm creative. I'm doing things. I'm building things, but I don't do that in social media. Um, I have a LinkedIn account, and that's been there since the beginning of LinkedIn. Uh, in another life, I was the business development vice president of a company called Spoke, which was the direct competitor uh, of LinkedIn at the time, and wasn't the successor in you know accreting enough users to survive beyond a few years. While LinkedIn took the world by storm through its viral connection process. And ours was a different technology and a different approach to it. But I'm one of the very earliest users of LinkedIn, so I have a profile there.
Okay. And while Andy is not an individual creator, he is part of our team that creates the Daily AI show every day. And often he is on the other side of the hot seat with Jumi and I with the Sci Fi AI show as well. We are so excited to wrap this up. We had the live Q&A seems not to be working right now, but we will find a way to do this at another time. I see Gareth has a ton of questions. Like there are definitely questions that people want to ask you, Andy. So it is not because they do not wish to, but I am not seeing anyone at our door that I can let in. So thanks everybody. Thanks for sticking around for the second half, and we'll see you next week on the Sci-Fi AI Show. Thanks. Okay. Wow. No idea. Thank you.